Monday morning. Well, actually, some places it's Monday morning. It's that Monday afternoon here, but it's Jim and it's Amadeus. And what a week it has been. What a weekend it has been. Amadeus, glad to see you back from first, the illness, which I'm glad to hear that you're back from, and then of course the little sojourn up to the North Country where you had some craft beer and some rather interesting tasting liquors. You can pass on our pre-show when you talked about some of the unique, I guess would be a better way of putting it, possible concoctions that you had a taste of.
Yeah, Jim, it's good to be back. Feeling much better. I've trekked back from the North Pole now with my dill pickle vodka and peanut butter whiskey that they were so lovely putting together up there at the distillery. So, yeah, lots going on there. But yeah, it was a very very action packed weekend for sure. Just fun with the sports and with everything up north where I was. So.
Yeah.
It's good to be back in the rhythm. All the leagues come back now.
Well, I got to tell you, it was a crazy weekend of watching. I mean, you almost could watch, soccer from, 8 in the morning till after midnight, over the weekend, and that's not something normal, but it's starting to become normal, and in your absence, the Messi train continues. It's rolling, and it's rolling into the semifinals. And then I think probably to me and I really look forward to your assessment of this, but just to look out and to see a Final Four of the women's with Australia in it, in England, I think that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, 100%. Who would have thought the hosts would make it all the way to the semifinals? This is history in the making for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely there's been a few shocks so far. So Australia, I believe they're playing. Actually, I haven't even. They're playing England, I believe.
Yeah, they are playing England.
Them, and then it's Spain and Sweden in the other one.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I was shocked to see Sweden kick Japan out. I did see a bit of that match. That was definitely a shock. I thought Japan was one of the better teams, but Sweden, man, they had the speed to match Japan, and they also had the physicality. So all credit to them. Spain, I think, is definitely going to struggle with them. They did need extra time to get past their last match there. So definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. That one's at 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning, or tonight, however you want to call it. But
right.
While everybody is sleeping,
that'll be the one that everybody will watch. Set your alarms now.
Yeah, that's one. If you're on the east, you're just waking up for work and can catch that one. Or if you're on the west, that's going to be a very late night for you at 1 a.m. So definitely some interesting stuff. And then the next day will be Australia and England. But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens there, because England, they beat Colombia 2-1, but still they haven't impressed at all in this tournament. They needed penalties to get by in the last round. And obviously, they beat Colombia 2-1, but it's not a convincing win in my book. And now they're going to be playing against Australia, who obviously has been in great form in this tournament, but is also going to have 75,000 fans behind them, cheering them on. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this England team reacts to actually being at a disadvantage here, because they're pretty much the away team.
Yeah, and you can never underestimate the power of, I mean, you have to think that, all right, you're Australia, right? Nobody thought you were going to be there. And here you are in front of, like you said, all of your, the home country. You're jacked up to ridiculous level. and England, all the pressure's on them. I mean, Australia's playing with house money. Nobody expected them to be there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The USA was the favorite, and now they're gone. And England was the second favorite, so yeah, that makes England as the favorite to win it all now. So all the pressure's on them. You're the Euro Cup defending champions. You won the UEFA CONMEBOL Cup of Champions. So you're this very decorated team over the last year coming in now. And yeah, now you're going to be at a disadvantage. And keep in mind that Australia really has been missing their best player, Samantha Kerr, for most of this tournament. She did not play a single match in the group stage. I think she started to come in as a sub late in matches in these knockout stages. But really, we haven't even seen this dynamic attack when she's on the pitch. So if she gets the start in this match, then it'll be definitely watch out England, because I believe Lauren James still has one more match she's suspended for her red card. I have to double check, though. I'm not sure if it was one match or two.
Well, and the other part to this, which is amazing, is that you really have a Final Four that makes it fun. I think that if you're a fan, you want to see that. You really do want to see the Matildas in all their glory out there and having fun, because that, to me, that's where it's all about, right? You want all the best teams out there, and you want some Cinderella stories, and you got England, and you've got Australia, and you couldn't get two more. You couldn't get. I mean, considering that Australia was, an English part of the English. Part of England's, history. And now this whole situation, it's got to be a lot of fun to think that, okay, this is going to be cool. We're going to be able to do this, and we're going to play, the mother country, if you will, and we're going to play them to a really, fun time. And I think that's going to be, a lot of good and impetus for them, and of course for the fans.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because we actually have a lot, like all four of these teams are very well recognized on the world stage. So I'm actually looking at the FIFA rankings right now, and so obviously England, the favorite to win the tournament now. They've won multiple competitions over the last year alone. They're the number 4th team in the world. But then you have this Sweden team, which nobody really expected them to go as deep as they have gone in this tournament. But Sweden is ranked number 3 in the world. They're actually ranked higher than England, and they're technically the highest ranked team according to the FIFA rankings left in this tournament. So definitely you're going to have, and Sweden, they're playing Spain, who actually was a more of a favorite over Sweden to win the entire World Cup. And a lot of that is because Spain's whole team is basically the Barcelona team that won the Women's Champions League this past June. Right. So they have a very strong team of women that play at the highest level in Europe. So definitely, Sweden is going to be a great match, and Spain is ranked 6th in the world. So right there between Sweden, England, and Spain, you have 3, 4, and 6. And then obviously Australia is the one left out. But even looking at the rankings, Australia is ranked 10th in the world. So these are still all 4 are top 10 teams. And Australia, even though, you have 3, 4, and 6 in the world, and then a little bit of a drop off to Australia, who's number 10. They also have the crowd on their side, so that kind of balances out that aspect a bit. So definitely, I think it's going to be a very competitive Final Four here.
And I mean, the other part of it, we were talking about the crowd. Yeah, I don't think you can really underestimate what 80,000 people screaming, for the Matildas is going to be like. And knowing, how amped up the Australian fans get, even for like the tennis, we're talking about when one guy's playing for, in the in the Australian Open.
And a lot of the time, it's not even an Australian.
Right? Yeah. So this is going to be this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now they have their actual Australian women to get behind, and they've just been they've been killing it in the tournament so far. And I haven't seen a single match that didn't have, or a single Australian match that didn't have at least 76,000 fans in the building.
Right. And everybody's going to be geeked out. And hey, you know what? Good on them. What about did you get a chance to see any of the weekend play as we got to see some of the Premier League get back into play?
Yeah, I did try to catch a few of the games for sure. Early, since they were early in the morning, I was able to be up.
You and the reindeer. Yes.
Yeah, I was able to be up before a lot of the house because everybody was drinking. So I can wake up at 5 a.m. after a night of drinking. A lot of people can't, but
congratulations to you.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I could wake up earlier when I'm drinking, which is interesting. My body just doesn't like to sleep afterwards. But yeah, I did catch some of these games. It is very, very, very went the way I thought it was going to go. This Premier League. I started the season 5-1.
Okay.
We almost made it through 6-0, but had a little stumble in that last match yesterday. There was some disallowed goals, some shenanigans going on. I thought there was a few missed penalties, but that's okay. We also have a play up today at BigAl.com and PickAdvisor.com that anybody can go grab for the 3:00 match today. Obviously, Wolverhampton and Man United. So. That one is hopefully going to put us at 6-1. And, between Spain, France, and England, I had a 9-2 weekend because I went 3-1 in France and perfect 1-0 in La Liga. And yeah, the only loss I had in France was Montpellier, which they were winning 2-1 and blew it in the 91st.
Then they screwed the pooch.
Always one of those late goals, Jim.
And they didn't have. I mean, I watched some of that game. I watched the last part of it. And it's like they didn't have to give that up. I mean, that was just plain out stupid.
And about like 5 minutes before that equalizer, there was a chance that the guy had right in front of the net. And he was all by himself. He could have made it 3-1, and he just missed the far post.
Yeah.
And that would have been the dagger right there. I don't think Le Havre scores the second goal with that match goes 3-1 right there with about 5 minutes to go. But yeah, I was disappointed. Le Havre, they're a newly promoted side. Right. Come on, Montpellier. You're supposed to welcome them to Ligue 1. You don't welcome them with a draw at home.
Right. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, you're supposed to really just smack them around like we saw Brighton welcome Luton Town over the weekend. Nice 4-1 win there, and they lost. Their two best players, Caicedo and Mac Allister. So they're still slapping teams.
It's like we're just gonna let this go now. So
or even the Man City match on Friday, right? Welcome back to the Premier League, Burnley 3-0.
Yeah. It's like we've seen enough there, okay? Too much.
Yep.
Too much. So yeah, but at the end of the day, right? I mean, we still have a long slog to go.
Yeah, we're not even through match day 1 yet, right? Still going today. I see we have some technical difficulties, but yeah. Still on that match day 1 for sure. So long way to go. We're not even done the first week of the season here, but just waiting for Jim to come back here. Obviously having some technical difficulties until he gets back. You can check out. Oh, there he is. All right.
Sorry, what happened is I hit the wrong button as I was trying to get the information that we were dealing with. As I clicked on. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's not the one I wanted to hit. Yeah, it's been nuts. I mean, it's been a fun opening weekend, but there's still a lot of players that we don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's where, we've been pushing Neymar to Miami, and I've read in a story this weekend that literally they don't. Paris Saint-Germain doesn't know what to do with him. It's like they don't want him, but they don't know what to do with him because nobody else wants him. And I mean, in cases like that, I don't think they're going to get stuck with him. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to come down way late down the path. So we'll find out if Neymar is staying in Paris or if maybe he can be coerced to Miami or what's going to happen. But he doesn't look like he's going to stay there long.
Yeah, and at this point, Mbappe has to be on the move because PSG held him out of that first match and even pulled his merchandise from the store to make a point that we are selling him before the end of the window. And I think we've touched on this before, but the only team they really want to sell him to is Real Madrid. And Real Madrid knows they can get him for free next year, but they're considering paying the 100 million euros to get him 1 year early just to send a message to the rest of Europe that, don't mess with us. We're here to play.
That would definitely send a message. What do you think? You think he'll go?
He definitely wants.
If they're moving his merch out of the store, that's kind of a as long as he doesn't get locked out of the locker room, then that might help. But that's a precursor when you go to the store and you can't find an Mbappe jersey.
Yeah, and he definitely wants to leave, right? Like he's absolutely going to Real Madrid next year when his contract expires 100%. But at this point, it's up to the teams, and it's up to Real Madrid if they want to pay the transfer fee, because Mbappe, actually, after he got the deal from the Saudi Pro League, he made it abundantly clear that he wants to finish out his contract year in PSG and just finish it out and, leave on a free transfer next summer. But PSG doesn't want that. And ever since he said that, that was when they made the decision to, we're going to pull your merchandise and we're going to sell you because we know you're leaving and we might as well make some money off you because you're the best player in the world.
Right.
And so at this point, he has no choice. He actually wanted to finish out his contract at PSG, and PSG basically said, screw you, you're going to leave. So we need to make some money here. We're going to sell you to Real Madrid a year early. But it's all up to, I would say the ball is in Real Madrid's court, because if they're willing to shell out the cash, PSG will gladly sell him.
Well, how about we do this? How about we get Orlando, or we get one of the other MLS teams, let's pay the $100 million for 1 year, and then his contract, and then he can go to Barcelona. But we get him for a year. So,
just get Mbappe and Ronaldo to go to Orlando.
Orlando, or somewhere on the, maybe we take him to the West Coast just to make it, balance out the East Coast, West Coast thing. But
you want that Messi Ronaldo rivalry, right? So get him and Mbappe on the good old Orlando team.
Oh man, that would be one heck. I think Apple would sell a lot more. I mean, they're already raking in the cash from from their from the deal that they've got going on right now.
And now Luis Suarez coming in December. So who doesn't love the good old ear biter?
Yeah. I mean, it's things are starting to roll. So absolutely. It's been crazy. I was going to get this up before I nuked myself. And that was not changing the subject, but hitting on some stuff here. And we've got the MLB Power Rankings are out for the week, and there's been a whole bunch of jumping around. And let me give you some of the power rankings here, and I'll give them to you, and then we'll get back to them and get your reactions. Power rankings: number 1, the Atlanta Braves. They were number 1 last week. The Braves, got off to a little bit of a wobbly start out of the deadline, but then they got back to normal. The Dodgers made the biggest leap. They went from the 6th spot to the number 2 spot. They're at 71-46, and they have been hot. I think they've won 7 in a row. Number 3, the Orioles. They were 2 last week. They're 3 this week. Rangers at 4, and they were 3 last week. And the Rays at 5, they were 4 last week. And the rest of the rest is that it's the Braves, the Dodgers, the Orioles, the Rangers, the Rays, the Astros, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, Mariners, Brewers, Giants, Cubs, Twins, Red Sox, Yankees at 15, Reds at 16, Marlins at 17, Padres 18, Diamondbacks 19, Angels 20. Shohei Ohtani traded you twice. You didn't go. Guardians.
They've done nothing but lose since pulling them off the market.
The moment they pulled them off the market, they went into the tank. Mets at 22, Tigers at 23, Buccos at 24, Cardinals at 25. My Nationals not in last place. Thank you very much. At 26.
No, that would be the Athletic, the Triple A's.
Yeah, the AAA Athletics are in the Las Vegas Athletics are 30th. Royals 29, Rockies 28. And as I said, the aforementioned Chi Sox, who many thought would win the division, are all but silenced. So what do you think of those ratings? Is there something there you'd like to move somebody up or down, or what your thoughts are there?
Yeah, you know what?
I don't have any trouble with the top 5. I may not necessarily like the 1 through 5 thing, but 5. I mean, I don't see how you can't have the Astros in there. Nothing else that could have been tied for something. But anyway.
Yeah, I would definitely agree as well. Just because obviously, the Dodgers have been rolling. Not only are they leading the division, they've hit 70 wins now. They're like 25 games above 500. Obviously, the Braves, best offense in the MLB, best record in the MLB. So they're obviously going to be the number 1. And yeah, the Orioles, they just continue to gain steam. Even the Rays, who were having a little dip after the All-Star break there, now they've hit 70 wins. They don't have 50 losses yet, so they're back on track. And definitely, I agree with the Astros. They've been gaining a lot of steam as they try to chase down the Rangers. They're just within striking zone now. So
yeah, I mean, you figure that the Rays and the Orioles are going to have one heck of a final, couple of months. The Rangers and the Astros, that's just going to be freaky. The Giants are trying to find their footing, but I mean, unless the Dodgers go totally in the tank, and I don't think that's going to happen.
No, their best shot is the wild card, because they've had the Diamondbacks completely fall off the map now, right? They're back to 500. And at this point, they really just got to fight it out with the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Cubs. So it's a bit of I guess the Reds are in there too. But
yeah, I would be concerned in that mess about the Phillies. I mean, they're starting to get everybody starting to come back. Trey Turner, who one of my favorites, would have liked him still in the Nationals, but that's the way it goes. It's starting to hit, and when that happens, good things happen for Philadelphia. They just seem to play well, so I think they're going to be there. The interesting thing with the Giants is I believe they've won in the 2000s. I believe they've won 4 World Series. All of those World Series have come when they were a wild card team. The 2 times they won the division, they didn't win the World Series. So if you're a Giant fan, you're rooting for them to make the playoffs as a wild card because you don't want them to win the division. Not that they're going to win the division anyway, because the Dodgers are just playing out of their minds. But is it Ryu that came back for the Dodgers this week or so?
No, he came back for the Blue Jays.
Oh, the Blue Jays. That was Urias is the guy that I'm trying to. Yeah, he came back. He pitched well the other day, as did Kershaw. So they've been getting pitching out of people that they didn't necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't think that they were going to pitch well, but they were getting 7-8 innings out of these guys. And I don't think anybody thought that was going to
They've been using 2 rookies in the rotation, too,
Yeah.
Bobby Miller and Emmett Sheehan, and they've still been finding ways to win with that offense. So yeah, just imagine, because they're supposed to be getting like Dustin May and a few other of these guys that were injured early on in the season back as well. So
Yeah. Is there anybody that is more freakish? We're going to take Ohtani off the board on this one. Freakish in their ability to be an athlete more than Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, he's going to steal, he's going to hit 30 home runs. He's going to steal 60 bases. I mean, this guy is just an absolute athletic freak. I mean,
yeah,
there's literally nothing this guy can't do, it seems.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best players in the league by far. Obviously, he's the big NL MVP favorite right now. But one guy I think that is not getting enough credit for what he does, especially considering what he does for the team and how he's well over 160 hits now, is Luis Arraez on the Marlins. He's been having a year and a half, and if anybody's going to give Acuna a run for their money in that MVP race, I think he has to be the guy just because of what he's done for the team.
Oh, 100%. The problem is he's in the witness relocation program in Miami.
That's the only thing, right? It's like
you're just not going to, Miami doesn't get the pub in Miami. Forget about outside of Miami. I will tell you that there's more stories on, if you go to the front page of the Miami Herald or the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel or the Palm Beach Post or any of the big newspapers that cover the Miami market, you're going to see soccer, you're going to see the Dolphins, and you're going to see the Miami Hurricanes, and then you might see on the front page Marlins win, Marlins lose, whatever.
Marlins holding down wild card spots,
right, surprisingly. Under the fold, not on the top, under the fold. It's not, nobody's leading the news with it in the sports departments.
Definitely Messi and the Dolphins are just dominating that.
It's like crushing it. It's like, more people, are out there with their Tua jerseys. And I swear to God, if University of Miami, the Hurricanes, the U, starts winning a couple of games, then they'll get pushed down even further. And God forbid that the Heat start up, their spring training soon enough.
Especially if they pull off that trade for Dame.
Oh yeah, that will. The Marlins will be on page 6 of the sports section.
Not even in the sports section. Jim.
No, they'll just be along with the classified ads. So, and and so you're getting literally, this is a hilarious part of it. You're getting people who are driving to Fort Lauderdale, which is a couple-hour drive because, as we said before, it's not that distance is a problem. It's that traffic is a problem.
It's always the traffic.
It's always the traffic up 95 because you got like 6 people driving 20 miles an hour that are visiting from New York State. Anyway, you got all that traffic. You get up there, they're outdrawing the Marlins by almost double. And so you're sitting there going, and that's a small part. So, you can imagine what it's going to be like when the new park opens next year. The Marlins will be lost in obscurity. So it doesn't really matter how well they play. Nobody's watching them. And
it doesn't really matter because even if they somehow win the World Series for some strange reason, they're just going to blow the team up next year.
Yeah, that's
the Marlins way.
It's the Marlins way. I think that that was his Huizinga when he owned it. When they won the World Series, he blew it up. I don't think that the group that's in there now would do that because the good news for them is in many ways is like Baltimore or Tampa Bay. They're a low budget team. They've drafted well. All of their major players are under control, which you want to keep them as long as possible. So I think from that standpoint, that's a good. If nothing else, they have a good core for going forward.
They have some good pitching, I think, too.
They do. They do. They were. I mean, look. If you look at how the one thing that sabermetrics has done in baseball, it's done nothing. I know a lot of people don't like sabermetrics. I don't. I mean, I appreciate what it all is about, but I also have the eye test and go, I'm not sure I believe that, but okay, you guys figured it out. So the sabermetrics thing has always, you're going to see teams that draft an inordinate amount of pitchers. And most of them are the sabermetric guys. Sabermetric guys are going to draft, in a baseball draft, they're going to draft probably, 2-to-1 pitchers over anybody else. And, they're going to stockpile those pitchers, and then they're going to weed them out one by one. And we'll see how that plays. But, keep an eye, even though they will likely trade them all, keep an eye on the Pirates next year. They got a bunch of guys, a really bunch of incredibly good young talent on that team. And they kind of, showed us a little bit of it at the beginning of the season. But then they got some guys banged up. And so they got another class coming. I also understand the kid who's leading the minor leagues in home runs is a shortstop that the Rays have got. He's 20 years old. I don't know where they're going to play him because they got shortstop. They got shortstop pretty much nailed down.
All their players are so young too.
Yeah, yeah. They don't have anybody old on that team. So I don't know where they're going to play him, but you got to get this guy up somewhere.
Good luck getting the rookie in there when half your team is like literally.
The oldest guy on your team's like 30 years old.
You just got guys who literally been in the league for just like
I
a
was
few
just trying to
years.
think I'm thinking that what it's got to be one of the pitchers has got to be the oldest guy in there. You got a couple of pitchers
Probably.
that's been around for a while. How about Eflin? Probably, maybe.
Yeah, maybe because he was the new acquisition from Philly, right? So
he's been around. I think Zach Eflin's been around. But, you can look at the same thing. The Orioles, they are playing ridiculous ball. And I think the oldest position player is Santander, and Santander is probably 28, 29. So
and, that's why I never liked the Mancini trade last year because we saw what the Orioles were doing late in the season,
right.
And I had a feeling they would be, somewhat, they would carry that over into this year and be somewhat competitive. I didn't think they were gonna, come back from down 20 games and overtake the Rays, but all of a sudden, they're the best team in the AL East, and poor Trey Mancini, he left to go to a contender, and I think the Orioles might be, a contender from now on for the next few years.
It was funny because, and this was one of those things that the Angelos family usually does things weird and for no apparent reason. You can't figure it out. But in this case, the GM went to Trey and said, "Look, what do you want to do? You want to stay here, you can. But if you want to go, we'll find you a spot because, you never know how many more seasons you're going to play. And certainly, Trey Mancini, the story for those who don't know, he came back from cancer. He had all kinds of, elements and issues to get back from. And the fact that he was playing Major League Baseball after all that he went through was just, amazing. It was much like when Mario Lemieux had his bout with cancer and came back and played. So, I think the organization, and trust me when I say this, it doesn't happen often, did the right thing by the player. And so they sent him to Houston, and so he did well down there. But, I think probably as he's looking, although Houston's still good, I still think.
Well, he did get his World Series, right? But I feel like he would have been really good veteran piece on this young team, right?
Yeah, no, you're right, 100%. He would have been the guy who calmed everybody down in the locker room when things got crazy. But if you look at it, they haven't needed that. I mean, that's the weird part of it. They've been marshaling on with with a very very young core and doing well. So good on them. Just a quick for this is specifically for Amadeus. Okay, update on Baker Mayfield. He threw a touchdown pass in the first his first exhibition game, and actually looked pretty good in the small sample size that we have. What happened he ran the offense for I believe maybe 4 possessions, which got him a quarter and one possession that took him over into the second quarter. But he looked fine. So for those of you on the Baker Mayfield watch, he seems to be doing well so far.
Yeah, what's funny is they're actually the last team in the division. That's like they're the big underdog in the division at plus 700 to win it.
That's a little surprising to me. It's not that good of a division, number one. The only team, excuse me, in the conference that has a proven quarterback, and I'm leaving Baker out of this for the moment, is the Saints, because they got Derek Carr. Everybody else has got a question mark quarterback. How do you have the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons ahead of the Bucs? I don't understand.
A lot of people think the Falcons are winning the division hands down. From what I've heard, it's the Falcons to win. But I like the Bucs at plus 700, and I'm gonna trust my Baker Mayfield to bring it home.
Have they seen the Atlanta Falcons? I mean, I don't understand that. I'm not homing this, okay? Because I don't have a thought. I mean, I enjoy. I grew up in this business, not growing up as a kid, but grew up in the business as the first team I ever covered was the Buccaneers, and I did that for 4 years. So do I have a tugging, affection for them? Yeah, because when you cover a team for the first time, you feel, some sort of a kinship to them. But I'm not, I'm not. I don't live and die with every win or loss that the Buccaneers have. That being said, the Falcons, I just can't see it. I mean, they got the kid from Cincinnati as their quarterback. I don't. And you said last in the division, so that would be Carolina as well. Just really?
It goes. I think it goes like Falcons, Carolina, Saints, and then
the Saints are the Saints are at the bottom.
And no, the Bucs are at the bottom. Like it goes.
No, I understand, but I'm saying the Saints are below Carolina and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am not a betting person, and I will leave that to Amadeus. But if I were a betting person, I would put money on the Saints and the Bucs, because those two up there, no, it's not going to happen.
Let me double check right now, because maybe it's changed, or maybe I'm misremembering. I am misremembering.
Maybe we changed it. Maybe that's what.
I am misremembering. It's actually the Saints at plus 120.
Oh, they're the first.
Yeah, then it's the Falcons at plus 220.
That's not right. Yeah.
The Panthers at plus 400 and the Bucs at plus 700.
Jeez, that's just nuts. Let's go to. Do you have all of them out there? The division.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Let's just play a little bit. We're just pick one that you look at division wise, and it scratches your head. I gotta believe that. Well, you go ahead and pick one, and I'll pick one. A division.
A division.
Yeah. If you look at it, sticks out and go. To you, it sticks out and go, well, I'm not so sure about that.
I'm just looking through them right now. You know what? Let's do the AFC North.
Okay, sure.
So the Bengals are plus 140, but as we know, Joe Burrow is going to miss the first few weeks of the season. So
That is correct, sir.
I think that, you know, to have them favored at plus 140 is a bit of a stretch, just because if they get off to a bad start in that kind of division with, Baltimore, obviously Mike Tomlin, doesn't matter who he's got on the team, he puts out a winning team every year, right? And then
he's got a bunch of Uber drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is going to be, I guess, the first real season for Deshaun Watson at Cleveland. So it's not like it's a bad division.
And remember that Lamar Jackson signed that big contract.
Yeah, exactly. The Ravens are the second team at plus 220. So I just to put the Bengals as that much of a favorite over those three teams, especially knowing your starting quarterback's going to miss like the first few weeks, probably one of the most important weeks, because you want to get that. You want to start like 0-3, 1-4 in the hole, right? Yeah. So I think that's a bit of an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, because year in and year out, you can throw a blanket over those four teams and anybody can.
Yeah, definitely.
In there. Well, I'm excluding Cleveland for the moment, but certainly the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens, all three. That's probably, to me, year in and year out, the most competitive division in all of football. How about, we're talking about the North, how about the North on the other side, on the NFC? Because we got Rodgers is gone from Green Bay. And so you've got Green Bay, you've got Chicago, you've got, Kirk Cousins is still languishing his way through Minnesota. And then you've got the Lions, who last year, represented pretty well, and played a lot better than a lot of people gave them credit for. So that to me is probably going to be a division that's going to be really close to each other.
Yeah, so you read my mind, Jim. This was the next division I was going to go to for sure. And actually, I'm a little disappointed because I think the Lions are going to win the division, and they actually are the favorite at plus 130 to win the division.
They are the favorite?
Yeah, the Lions are the favorite at plus 130. And then it's the Vikings at plus 280. And then you have both the Bears and the Packers tied at plus 400.
Okay.
Which I think the Bears will be a bit better than the Packers, probably.
Yeah, probably, but not much.
Not by much, but they do have the better quarterback, I would say. And obviously Justin Fields is his third year now, so he's supposed to take that big leap, just like we're going to see a few guys. I think Trevor Lawrence is supposed to take that leap. And speaking of Trevor Lawrence, the Jags are a big favorite to win the division. They're a minus 160.
That's a sucky division, which is a technical term. It's just that's the south of the AFC. I mean, seriously, we could be on a team or start a team and win that division.
Like who's even the quarterbacks in this division? We got the Tennessee Titans here.
You could put a gun to my head and I couldn't tell you.
Are they rolling Tannehill out? Tannehill's gone though, isn't he?
Tannehill's gone from there. What's the kid from? I think the kid from
Malik
Liverpool is starting there.
Malik
something. Yeah.
I really liked him at Liberty too. I really liked him.
He played outstanding at Liberty. That was for Hugh Freeze.
He only got like two games last year because Tennessee turned out to be a playoff contender, so they didn't want to risk putting their rookie in.
Well, Derrick Henry, literally carried the load. But yeah, you gotta like what Doug Peterson and Jacksonville, is like. I mean, they actually did some good things on the defense, so you gotta like that. That's got to be a good deal.
He's a great coach too.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he was a good coach in New York. And speaking of that division, the Eastern Division of the NFC, please tell me, as they always are the Dallas Cowboys the darlings of the East, or is it Philadelphia, or is it New York, the G-Men? It can't possibly be Washington.
It's Washington, Jim. Come on, new name, new future. Let's go.
You're joking, right?
I'm joking.
Okay, fine. You had me drastically concerned. By the way, in the proverbial not for nothing category, the new owners of the team attended the first game, which is always nice, of the Washington Commanders, and they sat in the stands.
Oh, nice of them to show up and
They,
as a fan.
yeah, they showed up. They sat in the stands. They mingled with the fans. They signed autographs. And we're throwing Magic Johnson in that group of ownership group. They were talking to everybody. They didn't hide anyone. And Foxy's there. He says, "Let's go Wolves."
So we got some dreamers in the crowd.
Yeah, it's always good to know. So I mean, there's been such disdain for the team, for the ownership, for anybody involved, that to actually see the fans excited again by a new ownership group that is going to invest in the team, I think is really, a positive sign. I say this with no prior knowledge of it perhaps happening, but I gotta believe that Coach Rivera's gonna have to, do something pretty good this year to keep his place as the head coach of the Washington team. So we'll see.
Well, for one, I think he's got to realize when his team is going to get eliminated and which games, are must wins. Because that was pretty embarrassing last year when he was told by a reporter that you're eliminated, and he was like, "What? We are?"
Yeah, I know the reporter too. Oops. And look, I got another. Ron Rivera's a nice guy.
I always liked him as a coach. I thought he was great in Carolina.
I got no, I'm not throwing shade on him, but I'm just saying you can't be in that division with, an improved New York Giants team and a happy Saquon Barkley, which makes it even easier to play. A Philadelphia team that didn't fall off any that I could see, and Dallas, who simply plays for the playoffs. Can you believe it? 1994 was the last year Dallas, won a Super Bowl, and that was Barry Switzer was the coach. He took Jimmy Johnson's team that was the famous Jerry heard. Jerry was at a bar and was grievously overserved by an acquaintance bartender, and evidently got a little bit, a little more, louder than normal, and said that anybody could coach the team to the Super Bowl, to which Jimmy, quit and went to Miami. And then Barry came in and got the job done. So 1994, for those of you out there, historians, I'm not good at math, but I do know it's been a long time since, how about them Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. So I'm not holding out much hope for them this year either.
Yeah.
We'll see how about the AFC?
They're the second favorite, the Cowboys.
Are they?
It is the Eagles that are the favorite there.
I think watch the Giants. They're better on defense than they were last year, and they're better on offense.
And they're a plus 700.
Jeez, that's a lot of juice.
Yeah, it's plus 180 for the Cowboys, minus 120 for the Eagles, plus 700 for the Giants, and then your good old Washington at plus 1200.
Well, that I can understand. How about the West in the AFC? Kansas City obviously deserves all the props, but there's some good teams out there.
Yeah, so Kansas City is like the Jaguars. They're minus 160 favorite to win the division.
Okay.
Then you have the Chargers at plus 300, which, everybody hates Brandon Staley.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, we'll see. Everybody loves the quarterback but hates the coach, so we'll see what the Chargers do. They're always supposed to win the division every year and never do, so we'll see what they decide to do. Then you got, the Denver Broncos at plus 550. And, I'm disappointed to see this. The Raiders at plus 1,200 because the Raiders just picked up Jimmy Garoppolo to replace Derek Carr. And who's the coach?
That's an upgrade.
I agree. It is an upgrade.
So what the hell? I mean,
Yeah, and Jim, who's the coach of the Raiders again?
that would be Sean Payton.
No, it's
Oh no, he's in Denver. He's in Denver.
yeah. No, it's Josh McDaniels,
Josh
and we
McDaniels.
got and who
And
has a relationship with Josh McDaniels?
Jimmy owes much of the money that he has collected in the National Football League to Josh McDaniel, who
He
made
sat
him
behind Tom Brady.
Yeah, when Brady was hurt, who did Josh plug in there, and it was a plug and play. I mean,
Came in and won 4 games.
what you need? You want to win 4 games here? Give me the ball. So yeah, I and it's not like, and the Raiders still have those good wide receivers and
Devontae Adams, who actually suffered a leg injury on Friday. Apparently, he avoided something very serious. So we'll see. We'll see if he's ready to go.
Okay. So we go to the west of the NFC. I got
my division.
49ers there, right?
Yeah, minus 175, and actually, they are the biggest favorite to win a division on the board.
That doesn't surprise me.
And didn't they decide they're going with Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah, if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Good
decision, I think.
Well, yeah, I think so too. Which is why they got rid of Garoppolo. I don't know if Brock's going to play in the first game, right? I mean,
well, they still have Trey Lance, right?
Yeah, they got Trey Lance.
And I guess he'll be fighting for a job at that point. He'll get his starting position back.
Yeah, Purdy will get the job. I was wondering if he's actually going to make it in time, but I guess so.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the quarterback situation. All I remember reading is that I think
I know that they don't want to rush him back, so I think that it's possible that he may or may not be ready in time to. I mean, by game 3 he'll be there. So Trey Lance, but the way that Shanahan has that offense anyway, they can run. They don't need to pass the ball that much. They don't need to. I don't know.
As Jerry Jones would say, anybody can run that offense.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I'm just going to say the way that the way it's being done by Shanahan is he knows what he's got and he knows how to adapt to it.
Yeah.
I gotta think Sean McVay, that is a train wreck in Los Angeles, the Rams. They just
and the books would agree, Jim, because the 49ers are minus 175.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Pete and Gino at plus 220.
Yeah.
And then you have the Rams at plus 900, so a massive jump from the Seahawks to the Rams. And then my Cardinals at plus 2,500. They're like the biggest dog on the board. They're even bigger than your Commanders too. And they're out looking at the divisions here.
Thank you so much for allowing that to happen.
It's literally Washington and the Raiders are plus 1,200, and that's the closest. The plus 2,500 has everything beat by far. They are the biggest dog to win their division. Let's go Clayton Tune.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this or not, but it was just kind of funny. During pregame warmups the other night, when Kyler Murray was on the sidelines throwing the ball, those fans that blow air, they're kind of they move back and forth. Those massive fans that they have on the sidelines that keep the players cool. Yeah. He missed a wide receiver and hit the fan. So like, it's like it's an inanimate object. Okay, you got a guy standing 45 yards from you, standing there. There's nobody in between you and him, and you hit the fan.
Yeah, I remember reading something a few weeks ago about how they did a poll of like local people in the Arizona area, and like a large majority said they wanted to see Clayton Tune as the quarterback over Kyler Murray.
There's a lot of people that would drive him to the airport to wave him out of town.
Me included.
But
I would get a flight to Arizona just to drive him to the airport.
there you go, pick him up. But he's got that albatross of a contract, man. That is just.
It was a huge mistake.
You're not gonna be able to move him. I mean, if you eat the contract.
And like it was given to him by Steve Keim, the clown that's not even there anymore.
Right. Thanks a lot for your parting gift is giving Kyler Murray a contract he deserved.
Talking about the same guy who released Michael Floyd for a DUI, and then 2 weeks later gets a DUI himself, and expects what everybody's gonna just accept your apology. Get the hell out of here! You should have left like years ago.
Yeah, and then you've got, look, Kyler Murray. We agree that it's something that things happen, right? It didn't happen for him, but
it's just his work ethic. Like if he was just a first in. Yeah, if he was just a first in, last out kind of guy, he's got the athletic ability, right? Like his height doesn't bother me. Nothing about his game bothers me. It's the fact that the team doesn't like him because he doesn't put the work in. Right. And you're almost a teenager. You try to convince 30-year-olds here. Like, be better. Come on, man.
Well, there's that, and you've got people. I don't think people understand the amount of work that offensive linemen put in during the course of a week. Okay,
they are like the hidden heroes of the NFL.
You've got those guys. They put in. Anybody who watches any practice information at all, right, or video, or even in the preseason, you'll see that different teams have different jersey colors. They may have a red jersey on the quarterback. They may have a green jersey on the quarterback. They may have a yellow jersey on the quarterback. Basically, they have jerseys opposite of the colors of the team, much like you would see in soccer with a goalkeeper. And the reason is in practice, they don't hit them. They don't touch them. It's like, do not touch the quarterback. That is not the case for the offensive line. They have to block just like they would block in a regular game. So if you've ever seen, how many times have we seen quarterbacks at the end of the season gift, whether it's a watch or it's a, or it's a vacation or it's to take them to dinner or whatever it is, quarterbacks, paying their offensive linemen respect by doing something for them because they kept them upright for the most part for the entire season. If you're not putting in the reps, and these guys are busting tail out there to keep people from hitting you, you're not going to win a lot of friends among those offensive linemen. And if you don't have friends in that offensive line, you don't have friends.
Yeah, and they're definitely the unsung heroes because they're probably one of the most important positions by far, and it sets up everything. You want to have a good run game, you need the offensive line. You want to have a good passing game, and that's the thing is when the team is doing well, they never get the credit. It's all oh, look at the catches, oh, look at the throws, oh my God, what a big run. But who do you think set all that up? It was the offensive line. But then when the team is performing poorly, they're the guys that get crapped on. Oh, your quarterback's getting sacked a lot. That bad offensive line. Oh, you can't run more than 2 yards per carry. Oh, well, that's your offensive line. So, it's.
Well, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Exactly.
You can have a quarterback, and we've all seen it, that holds the ball 7 seconds and thinks that the offensive line can hold the defense away from him for 7 seconds, and all of a sudden. He got a sack. Well, he got a sack because he held the damn ball for 7 seconds. The average of the winning team quarterbacks get rid of the ball in less than 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So anything plus 4, either they're running for their lives on a legitimate factor, or they just plain don't understand that throw the ball out of bounds and live to see another day.
Yeah.
Not take a sack.
Sometimes everybody's just covered.
Right. You can do a zero. I've seen that, and we understand it. You have zero, what's called a zero defense, which means everybody on the teams rushing. So that's not fair to blame the offensive line when you see everybody on the planet is coming at you.
Yeah,
that's
8 on 5. What are you going to do,
right.
right?
Not going to count. And they're also blitzing linebackers. So, you're in trouble. So
And half of them are coming around the edge with speed too. So.
And those guys now, there's a lot more of those guys than there have ever probably been. They got linebackers that can run down, the wide receivers. So
it's an athletic position. They have to be now.
Yeah, it is. Those edge rushers are, and they are just popping up everywhere. But you got to be careful with that. Sometime today, I'm not sure when, and we'll take a couple of seconds to touch on it tomorrow. We will see the first Associated Press college football poll. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Georgia is probably going to be at the top of that poll.
TCU number 2.
Not so much. I don't think they're going to slide in there. If I had to guess, and it's really a guess, probably it's weird. The Associated Press, of course, is the coaches. It's not. It's a writers' poll. Probably Michigan. I don't know why, but I'm just thinking they'll give it to Michigan. I'm thinking they're going to push it Alabama just down a little bit just to piss off Nick Saban.
I think they might be in the top 4 this year again.
I'm sorry, the same 4?
I think they might be back in the top 4 again.
Oh, you mean Alabama?
Yeah.
I thought for a minute you were telling me that the Final 4 was going to be TCU again.
No. We were making fun of that last week.
That was an aberration.
Yeah, no, I think Alabama's probably going to be back to their old ways.
Kirby Smart and his old boss. That's going to be a barn burner in that regard. And we're only a year away from Texas and Oklahoma joining the thing, and I just can't wait for that because Texas has run the show in the Big 12 for a number of years now. They're just one of the other guys in the Southeastern Conference. So one team to keep a lookout for this year, and it pains me to say this as a Gator fan, is LSU. Brian Kelly's got a football team down there at LSU. And they open the season against FSU in Orlando. So that's going to be a fun thing. One other
make or break game for FSU. First game of the season.
Yeah. If you're going to lose the first game, you build yourself back from that. And then you hope if you lose that game to LSU, you hope LSU goes and just, gets as far up in the standings as possible, because then that loss means less.
Undefeated.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you don't want to go undefeated, and you may end up seeing them again. But anyway, one other thing to keep a lookout for tonight when you wake up in the morning is that speaking of Florida State, they have threatened the ACC that they could perhaps leave the conference tomorrow. And
really?
They haven't gotten an invitation to any of the other conferences, but they feel that they are not receiving enough money. And tomorrow, the 15th, is the deadline. If you are, and by the way, for those of you who follow Amadeus and I, know how much we love fax machines. You don't have to fax it in. You can go ahead and make the phone call, or email or text. That they may leave the Atlantic Coast Conference again without any particular landing spot. So they have to, obviously they would have to play this year, because that would not be for the deal. But they're considering buying themselves out. Now, if they buy themselves out and become a free agent, that may open the door for, if they are capable of pulling that off, that may open the door for a number of conferences to say, all right, let's go free agent. And then you may have as many as 20, 30 teams that that decide, let's form our own league, or let's form our own division. So, whatever happens tomorrow could be cataclysmic to what goes on from this point forward in college football. So tomorrow, keep an eye out for whether or not Florida State issues that ultimatum to the Atlantic Coast Conference, saying we're going to put up $120 million and leave the conference. One thing they did do is they protected the school from potential lawsuits by off-boarding the athletic department, and it became a wholly owned entity of Florida State. So they can be sued, but the university can't. So, it's what we like to call in the business billable hours from that standpoint. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. So, and we'll bring any information to you as we find it. Tell people where they can spend time investing their time and effort in finding out what you, my friend, are doing.
Yeah, you get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. Like I said, 5-1 start to the Premier League, 1-0 in La Liga, 3-1 in Liga, and there's nobody better to get your plays from with this with European football right now. It is just, I am on fire. So go check that out. The Premier League play has already started, but I got a few others. I got La Liga. I got some Brazilian action for later tonight, and obviously we got the MLB. So go check that out at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com.
All right, everybody. For Jim and for Amadeus, saying have a good Monday. We will see you tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. right here. Until then, have a lovely day, guys.